This man is the biggest scoundrel in all of human history. There is
Oh,
nothing worse than the title he is given. But, he's the real guy seems kind of nice. Luke Dimyan, how are you today?
I'm good. You got to stop flirting with me right out of the gate. That's no fun like that. You got to give them some chances to make up their own minds, you know?
Listen, Luke, we are both Orthodox Christians.
We are.
We are in the middle of Lent right now.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow you have to explain to your Egyptian father that you are playing Judas.
See, my dad had no issue with it. It's my teta, my grandma, who is a bit more concerned. She's actually absolutely convinced that they're gonna change the story. She'll turn to my uncle and be like, so he's not like he's gonna come around, right? They're gonna figure something out. He's like an angel. He's Habibi شوية صغنون. Like she's very, very adamant to think like, oh no, so there's no way they're gonna actually do it. And my uncle asked her reminder, like, no, no, he's Judas. He's gonna get real rough in the coming seasons. So that's fine.
Well, listen, the show's fantastic. You somehow make us want to care about Judas's journey. And, because every time we've seen Judas portrayed, he's always been the scoundrel from the beginning. And your version of Judas has a conversion moment where he gives his life to Jesus and wants to follow him, but his past is what holds him tight. And he slips back into his old ways, which is even more heartbreaking. Like if you were already the scoundrel, we'd be like, yeah, Jahannam fi, we know he's going to end up in hell already. But the fact that like there's even glimmers of hope in a possible redemption, and as we know how the story goes, he takes it away from himself and loses that possibility.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that's the kind of the same with everyone. And it's not I wouldn't say it's like the first time. I've definitely been depending on where you're looking, you could find most versions of Judas. I've actually, funny enough, when everyone brings it up, I don't know if I've ever seen a depiction of Judas that is straight out just bad guy, like set, other than like how he's spoken about in church. But outside of church and any other form of media, especially like secular takes, like the last stage of Judas Iscariot, the Andrew Lloyd Webber show, Jesus Christ Superstar, they make Judas very understandingly sympathetic. Oh, and not to mention Jesus of Nazareth, the epic from I think it was the 70s.
Yep.
Yeah, Ian McShane, the Ian McShane plays Judas in that. I remember watching and thinking, wow, he's so light and bright and very energetic. Like he's more excited about things than he is like monstrously evil. He's not corrupting or anything, but I loved him. He was amazing. His performance really influenced a lot of how I perceive Judas in media, and so I'm very appreciative of that movie. But also, like I always thought it was very very weird how he so quickly denounced him in this kind of fashion. But I was the black sheep of the Orthodox family, so I asked a lot of questions that I should have. That I got from my dad. So
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you sit there and The Chosen has been a worldwide phenomenon. It's been divided into episodic movies where it's being shown in cinema houses and theaters.
yeah, yeah.
And
Thank you, Fathom Events.
you and just the continuation of the show and Dallas Jenkins being a huge part of it. Uh, I didn't agree with very much of his dad's storytelling with,
Left Behind
the Left
series.
Behind series, but
Never
that's
read
not our
them.
theology. So,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal like that. But like, that doesn't take away from the effort that Dallas has put into this and the detail that he's made the story so palatable, even for secular fans.
hmm it's I can tell you he takes a lot of work into this. He has various consultants, both Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, like they like he has those table reads and, well, not table reads, that's a different thing entirely, but he has those table discussions and live streams where he brings in these religious leaders and types to like break down the episodes and see. And he's honestly, I think my favorite part about this show is its awareness and acceptance of Jewish culture. A lot of iterations of Jesus immediately gloss over his Jewish heritage, or the fact that he was Jewish. He was there to save the Jewish people. And it wasn't supposed to be like an erasure of the Hebrew heritage or what had came before, but like a continuation, which is really interesting to see in this adaptation. I love that there's an acceptance for that, and not only that, but a love, and how a lot of fans have kind of taken to that. It's also great to learn about a culture that I've been so aware of my entire life, but I've never been able to delve into or get to know. I went to, I think the closest I got to was a Passover at my friend's house in high school. And they brought me over, and there was this beautiful prayer that they had that was so foreign to me, but listening to them was genuinely fantastic. And then they passed me some matzo ball soup, and I was like, oh, okay, this is great. I understand everything now. Adopt me. I'm ready.
And then you got to see, but now it takes you back into the evolution with you being Coptic Orthodox and me being Greek Orthodox, in how our traditions have evolved out of Judaism, and the
Yes.
earliest aspects of Christianity still that remain in the Orthodox churches, whether Oriental or Eastern, even though we're not in communion, but there's working on it between the Russian and the Egyptian churches, that it might be a possibility at some point.
Yes. Yes. Honestly, it's strangely familiar, which I just honestly I just take as a sweet gift that I wasn't expecting. It's just nice to be in something that reminds me a little of home.
What has the reaction been? You know, like you get to tell everybody, I'm in The Chosen. Like when you're first cast and you can finally talk about it, right?
Mhm.
And everyone gets so excited. Oh my God, Luke is in The Chosen. It's this worldwide phenomenon. It's the great show. Who are you? And you have to turn around and tell them Judas. And like, what is the facial expression and the twist on people's faces? Like from glee to what? Are like they still excited for you, or like, oh, we know
Oh,
what's going to
see, I
happen to
guess
you?
that depends on who you're asking.
Yeah.
It really depends on who you're asking, because I tell any of my friends, my performing friends, or anyone who I work with or in the arts, or anyone who's close to me, I'll tell them Judas. Literally, I was on a table read with Sean Sharma, who plays Shmuel. He's got a podcast where he does reads, and I was sitting next to a guy, and when I told him that I was playing Judas, he was like, "Oh my goodness, really? Congrats!" I was like, "Yeah, thank you." So in the entertainment, in the storytelling industry, everyone I've told have been like, "Oh my goodness, that's such a big role. Way to go! Congrats! That's fantastic." And that's how I felt. I was very excited. Though those are the most of the people that I have to like tell about. If I'm ever in a situation or in a church, they probably already know, so there's not much of a reveal for them to get disappointed. It's already a pretty quick awareness. But I'm honestly, I'm glad that I'm around the people who can appreciate this role the same way that I do.
And then your priest won't let you take communion anymore once you got cast.
Oh, no, I stopped that a long time. No, I'm just kidding. If anything, my oh my goodness, Arabunas are more are also very excited for me, and they wish the best for me. They'll be like, "So you want like two? You want two just in case? Just like get some extra cleansing, refresh your soul. Come on." Actually, on top of that, free baptism next week. Come on, let's just ring it free. Let's ring out all the sin. It's like a fresh load of laundry with you, boy.
Yeah. The show and watching your character's evolution, because Judas goes through the most transition. It's like Peter and Judas seem to go through the most transition, you know.
And I'd say also Matthew and Thomas. It's very subtle. If anything, one of my favorites is John's transitions, because if you rewatch the show, if you watch George's performance throughout it all, it's so masterfully subtle, and his build is. I feel like everyone's missing it on how quickly he's turning into this very well-spoken, well-aware disciple of Christ. The hot-headedness is like calming, and it's turning into like a mind and spirit of steel. and it's so cool to watch him do it every scene, just little by little. It's very good.
And the ego diminishing, from being I'm the beloved, I'm the one that he loves the most, to
Exactly.
all the other disciples treating it as a joke, to now him actually becoming Saint John the Beloved, Saint John the Divine.
Exactly. It's very cool.
You know, the locations, the scenery, just the background is its own character in the series. When you step onto the set, Utah is one of the filming locations, and
Yes.
it looks like ancient Jerusalem. I got to spend Easter in Jerusalem in 2018, and it was amazing. You know, and have you been to Egypt by any chance?
Oh, I've been many times. Many times I've been to Egypt.
Does it almost feel like going to Alexandria or Cairo when you're in the old city, being on set, and just like it's almost like this homecoming?
Uh, it could be a bit more humid. I will say that's something I noticed right away when I revisited Egypt immediately. We walked out of the airport and the humidity hit and it felt like thick, just hot air. It wasn't hot itself, but the air was almost hard to breathe in. And my immediate reaction was like, "Oh, I'm home. That's nice. I haven't felt this in a while. This is good. This is good." But but uh weirdly enough, I feel like Egypt, most of the Egypt that I've been around, it's more sanded deserts and a lot more city. My family is from Alexandria and Cairo primarily, and so being in those cities, those forms, that's a bit more nostalgic for me. And I don't think there's any cities in America that quite resemble the buildings of Alexandria and or at least how I remember them. But the deserts, the heat, oh, that'll take me back. It's a lot of tumbleweeds and shrubs, which is good. Lovely, lovely scenery of shrubs.
you know the way everything has developed from season 3 to season 4 for you, and we're
Mm.
coming up towards the end of season 4. Fathom is going to do one more run of the final episodes, and then I believe it's going to go to Angel Studios website for or streaming service first, and
I
then
don't I don't think so. I don't think we're distributed by Angel Studios anymore. We're now being distributed by Lionsgate, and I'm not sure where the streaming will go first because we have our own app now. We don't stream our episodes to the Angel Studios app anymore, which is a separate app. We have the Chosen app now, where you can still find all of our present episodes for free, and it's the place where we can donate. You can still donate to us from the Angel Studios app, but they'd get a cut from that. So if you wanted to donate to us directly, there was the Chosen app, the separate one now.
wow, I didn't realize about the app. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really branching out on our own, which honestly, more power to them.
What's the most interesting story you've heard from somebody in regards to the series, that like did they either convert, or did they like, I've never liked religion, but I like this show? Like, what's something that like really stuck out from a secular perspective in people talking to you?
Uh oh man. I'm not sure. I mean, other than the fact that my my friends and family can't stop annoying me with excited photos and pictures and videos of showing up and looking at my poster and being like, "Oh my goodness, you have a poster in a theater." And I'm like, "Yes, please, thank you. Stop. Stop doing that. Don't attract the eyes." But I don't know. I don't know if I have any crazy stories. I haven't really I, I don't know if I'm the person people would tell these things to. I am Judas after all. Not everyone's very ready to have their spiritual awakening and relay it to the betrayer, the Messiah. So I don't know, but I don't think I've had any like grand explanations, but I've been very happily like validated by my friends who have watched it and have been like, it's very good. You should be like super proud to be a part of like a show like this. Like, it's really cool. And they watch a bunch of other TV, so it feels nice to be part of a show that can be enjoyed at the same level of the rest of the industry.
Yeah, there is one thing. I did have an interesting, historical moment and theological moment that wasn't even directly theological or historical, but it was in regards to Paris Patel, who plays Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends thought I was absolutely ridiculous with this. I was like, wait a minute, he's left-handed. That doesn't work. Because like they forced all the left-handed people back then to be right-handed. I was like, how did they miss that?
Oh my goodness, I don't think I even noticed that. I was just like, that's Paris, he's writing. Let him do his thing.
Yeah. And everybody looked at me like, only you would notice something like that and throw it into some theological aspect of like how he's not supposed to be left-handed being Saint Matthew.
I know. That's some like harsh specifics. Wait till you folks start focusing on our accents. Then you'll have fun. Talk about like cultural specificities and whatnot.
Well, the one thing that made me laugh about Jonathan Roumie is that Jonathan Roumie is Catholic.
Yeah.
But his name is Roumie, which literally means one who is Greek Orthodox. And I'm like, how did you go from being Greek Orthodox to Roman Catholic with the name Roumie? Like, it's in your
very
name,
easy.
Habibi.
Like, it's a very quick like street cross. He hit the sign and there was like walk now, and he's like, oh sweet.
Yeah.
And he made his way over. And it seems like they've taken very good care of him. But he's also there. He's so sweet. Anytime like we're hanging out or we're getting lunch, he'll always be like, "Tekul, yeah, baby, eat." Yoed, and he'll like scare me like that. I'm like, why are you doing this? You know how traumatizing those words are. You can't just spout that. But so don't worry, he has not forgotten any of his roots. But he's a beautiful man. I know all of the decisions he's made have been the right ones. So bless
That's
him.
the only thing I want to tease him about. Like, I want him like, who's the girl? Who's the girl that made you go from Orthodox to Catholic? That's it.
Probably his mom. The only girl that matters to any guy.
Yeah. How
I
has
wouldn't even blame him. If my mom was like, congratulations, you're Buddhist now. I'm like, how dare your mom? I'm not gonna argue. She wouldn't, but if she did, I wouldn't try to fight it.
That's because she's coming at you with the slipper.
Absolutely. The ship.
Yeah.
She's got an arm with that thing. Honestly, it wouldn't even be the ship. It would just be whatever shoe she had on. So I would try not to get into arguments with her after church, because that's when the high heels were like, that's when the fancy, very strong, sturdy shoes were on. I'd wait till after supper, and the slippers would be the more convenient things. And then I'd be like, could I borrow it to like $20? And she'd be like, Lee, wed.
Oh, no, I joke. I said the only thing my mom didn't hit me with was the Bible because it was too holy.
That's good. Also, that could do damage. That book is thick.
It's very heavy, Yeah. Especially since our edition has 10 more books than the Protestant Bible.
That is true.
But that's for another day, and we'll talk about Martin Luther for something else. But how has your life changed since the show and the reaction of people watching the series? Because now you're far more recognizable than before. People were like, I know you from somewhere. Where have I seen you? Now it's like, Judas.
It's actually, it's a very lovely minor change in my life. I don't really get recognized. I think that's the safety net of LA that I'm very appreciative of. It's I think I've only, if I've ever gotten recognized, it's always been, it's so funny. I got recognized like a few weeks ago with my uncle at a museum, and the guy looked at me almost in a very casual conversation, like, I know you from somewhere. I was like, oh, this is so personal. Did you go to my college? Were you a teacher? And he was like, no, that's not it. And I started going through my brain. I was like, where could I have met this guy? Because it felt so personal and it was so casual. But then I realized, like, oh wait, that's right, I'm on a TV show. I forget sometimes. And so I brought it up, and he was like, oh, that's right. good work, good job. And I was like, thank you, sir. I appreciate the notes. But yeah, no, I feel like it's changed my life in much more personal, subtle ways. I have this wonderful new set of friends who I adore greatly. I've met so many amazing, hardworking performers that mean the world to me now. I can afford healthcare. That's a big one. But it also came at the perfect time. I was able to afford healthcare at the perfect time because that's when my body decided to just like shut down immensely. Like, oh, just disease, disease, disease. You're gonna go to the doctor a lot. I was like, well, thank goodness it's at a bargain price.
Dear
But
God, what happened, if you don't mind me asking?
oh, it was just this internal infection. It was this weirdest thing, and it took a while to like get diagnosed and treat. But luckily, I got it. I got it taken care of during my first break. So that was that was a rough time. But luckily, past that, it's been super easy. But yeah, it's nice to live a very structured and supported life with the people I care about, and to be able to not be afraid to live life. And the show has given me that structure to do so, and then with so many more lovely people that I can share that experience with. So I'm very happy for that change in my daily life. It's been very nice.
And what has a show like this done for you spiritually? Because, I mean, we already know you're Coptic Orthodox, one of the oldest churches, founded by Saint Mark, the gospel writer. You know,
Mark.
yes, Saint
Yeah.
Mark, the gospel writer. You know,
Sorry, there was a bit of a delay. You
oh,
cut
I'm
out
sorry.
right at his name, and I was like, Mark.
Yeah, yeah. And but what's it like? You know, you're in that lineage, that apostolic lineage, and like, does it dawn on you even more, like the power of the show and how it relates to your origins and where you've come from? Is there more of a spiritual awakening in you? Like, how does that change Luke?
I will say my spirituality and my faith I keep very private. It for me that's for me, and that's for me to uh live through and experience, and usually to figure out on my own. I have always kind of felt that way. I've never been a fan of trying to boister something about something that I'm still learning about. I'm constantly learning about. Uh, so I have a very strict rule where I try to keep my personal life and my career separate. It's not it's kind of funny like that, just very pure and simple. So when I go, I don't really try to force any spiritual awareness or awakening. It's kind of more, it feels more like a history lesson where I'm learning more about the specifics of things that I hadn't known about, the locations, the political atmosphere of everything going on at the time. And it's I take in, I try to learn about the things that I couldn't have known. But past that, it's my job. I need to remain focused to make sure that nothing gets compromised with my job so I can do it properly. And then when I come home, that's where I can like grow spiritually. That's where I can go to my father in confession, or I can go to my church and pray and meditate and be Luke. I can't really be Luke and Judas at the same time and try to find some spiritual uh, depth there,
Well, let's hope Judas doesn't
because
cross over into
I
the
feel like that
reality
would
of
be
Luke.
me lying to myself. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And now this Easter, they're gonna look at you and, like, Holy Wednesday, they're just gonna be staring at you the whole time.
Well, this Easter, no, that last Easter, the Easter before that, a childhood friend of mine, her fiance, he came up to me one time and he was like, I was because we have a song in the procession during Pascha week, I think on Good Friday, that's all about Judas, and everything's done backwards as a show of how lost he got. And he came up to me and he was like, I already wasn't a huge fan of that song and how harsh it is towards him, but now especially it hurts so much more because immediately I think of you, and I'm like, great, that I'm doing my job right.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he doesn't picture your face while that's going on in the middle of the procession.
Oh no, please, please. I have a lovely face. Picture it all you want. If I'm the face that people imagine Judas, then honestly, all the better for it. Because then maybe they'll think twice before quickly and dismissively judging him. And maybe that'll inform them to not quickly and judge others that they may be more inclined to. So
Well,
please picture my face.
I'll put in the comment which saint it was. I forgot off the top of my head, but he said, uh, "You will learn not to judge when you realize that it was an apostle that betrayed Christ, and it was a thief that confessed him on the cross." And so,
Yeah.
these are interesting times, man. And there was a revival last year I think it was in Kentucky, where it just went on for like a week and a half, 2 weeks of students converting to evangelicalism. And then, we've seen what's happened in the war between Ukraine and Russia, and we've seen what's happened, to the churches in the Middle East and what's going on. But like, it's this strange dichotomy of secularism and faithfulness that is almost doing battle with each other right now. And has that affected any of the shooting schedule? Like, have there been protests or people upset with anything? Or it's like, go with God and you guys are doing what you're doing?
No, no, I don't think we've had the biggest issue we had was the strike. And that was something kind of everybody had to agree on to continue. And we actually dealt with that quite well because the strike happened and we sent out a form to be signed saying we agree with all the SAG rules. Can we continue filming? And then they were like, sure, go for it. We were one of the first shows to get that I forget what it was called, but that amendment signed to continue and finish our season. So other than that, no, everything's been very smooth sailing. There's not much conflict, not in, on, or around the set. It's very smooth going.
Have there been any, well, that's fantastic on that first and foremost, but have there been any moments, obviously, you guys are acting and there are moments that someone's going to break. And, there's a lot of humor in the Middle East and especially among Middle Eastern people. Is there a moment where somebody just cracks and like for the next 10 minutes, you guys have just can't stop laughing? And what is a moment like that sticks out?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Those moments happen like occasionally. I don't know why they seem to be mostly surrounding farts on set. Like there was a very serious scene this past season on staircases. I believe it was either episode 6 or 7. It might have been 7, but we're on a staircase. We're being shouted at by Pharisees, and I started saying my line, and I didn't hear it, but I think one of the donkeys farted off in the distance, but Paris did, and so I turned to him, and he's just crouched over laughing, and I try to stick with it. I'm like, yeah, just get through it. They can't see it. Just get. And I couldn't because I started to break too, and then everyone started to break, and we lost it for a solid like minute or two. But then we had to like bring it back together and go into another take. Luckily, it didn't last for more than one take, but past that, um, we still have plenty of time to not take ourselves seriously, even in the most serious situations.
It's interesting that it would be a flatulent donkey that's the one that turns everyone around.
Well, kind of poetic that it comes from the ass's mouth,
This is true, literally.
or the other way around.
The ass's ass.
Yeah, bit redundant.
It is, but it's still funnier that way.
Yeah, ass squared.
Yeah. You guys have the app. You have such a successful show and an incredible fan base. Is there like a moment of pulling back? When you go home, you get to be Luke, and you get to reconcile who you are. But is there a cognizant moment for you where you sit there and go, I am part of something that is so huge, yet so humbling that I feel like it's a dream?
I think the first thing that comes to mind with that for me was during our filming in Utah. Some of us were invited to visit this kid in the hospital, Jared Baker. He had leukemia, I believe. I might be wrong, but it was a form of cancer, and he was going through his third treatment. Throughout his life, he was 16, and he was going on through his third treatment throughout his entire life of this cancer just showing back up again after he fought it 2 other times and won. We came together, we surprised him, we spent some time with him, and it was very nice, but it was a lot of us in a room, and eventually we signed a poster for him, we left. But then the next weekend, George and I were talking, George, who plays John, and we were thinking about visiting him again. And he talked to the mom, and Tammy Baker, and he reached out and he said, yeah, I'm going again. And I was like, can I come? And he said, sure. And we ended up visiting him every weekend. That was not the plan, but it ended up being every weekend that we could, until we finished and wrapped in Utah. And Giovanni Cairo, who plays Thaddeus, also joined us on a few trips. But I'm so glad we did that, because then I got to know Jared so much more than just that first visit. And we were actually able to talk to him, spend time with him. And I realized there was no way I would have gotten a chance to get to know this kid if it wasn't for the show. Sadly, he passed away in I believe it was October, from his constant battle, which was very sad, because he had a chance to go home and we were all rooting for him and things were looking up. But making that connection with him, and then subsequently raising, oh my goodness, I believe it wasn't 500, it was 50,000. I think it was, oh, I'm forgetting a zero, I can't remember, but we raised a good amount of money for his family, and we couldn't have done that without our amazing fan base and without the chance to get to know him and learn about the wonderful man, the wonderful young man that he was. So I'm super thankful for the reach of this show, so I could have gotten the chance to have met and befriended Jared Baker.
That's absolutely incredible, man. You're gonna make me cry.
Oh no, it's a personal event, but that's a story that I will do my best in every capacity for the rest of my life to share, because I feel like everyone deserves to know this kid. He was so smart and funny and charming and stoic for such a young age, and he was so brave. Like, genuinely, he was just so brave. He was so accepting of just his situation in a way that astounded me. Like, he was just an amazing kid through and through. So I'm just happy that I got to know him.
Well, Luke, I'm going to ask you 2 lighter questions.
Oh, truly.
And
Thanks.
two very Middle Eastern questions. All right.
Oh, bring it on.
All right. So the lighter questions. 95% of the cast is Middle Eastern.
Yes.
How do any of you show up on time?
Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we'll sleep in and miss an alarm. Joey. We sometimes just no, but actually we show up on time because they give us a call sheet and they're like, if you don't show up on time, you'll be fired. And we were like, got it, understood, done. We'll get there a little bit early then, and we'll try to make up for it. And so
like, there's 5 Egyptians on the show, so like I don't know how any of you show up on time.
There's 5?
No, well, I know I'm exaggerating, but there's like 2 of you I know for sure.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think 2 max, unless Jordan Walker Ross is not telling me something, because I'm not gonna lie, those curls look familial. I don't know. I might like slip a Habibi near him and see how he responds. I knew he was hiding something, but yeah. No, we're professionals. I think our mothers work the fear of God within us to know that in family events we take our time. Work in church. No, actually, it's probably just work. We show up very late for church too.
You guys show up just in time for communion.
Yes, we do.
That's all Egyptians. You guys show up just in time for communion.
That's the important part. Like everything else we can catch up on later. I can sing the Psalms on my own. Like, but the good stuff, that happens right at 11:30. That's when we show up.
That's because the Coptic service starts at 4:30.
Oh, no. You're giving us you're giving us a bad rap.
I'm teasing you.
It's 6 a.m. At most. Come on. And that's just the first service, 6 to 8, and then 8 to 11, 12. It's very invigorating. Really resets your Sunday.
And then the second very Middle Eastern question is,
Yes.
because our families are so big on education and have always treated the arts as a hobby, not as a career, did everybody have to get a minimum of a master's degree before like the family said, all right, go with God and do what you want?
No. Luckily, I was enough of a disappointment on my own as a kid that they looked at my grades and they looked at me performing and they just decided, yeah, just let him do his thing. I give up. Look, worst case scenario, he lives at home and I take care of him forever. That was my mom's perspective. It's like, fine, as long as he's safe, as long as he's good, just let him do his thing. The worst that can happen is he's actually successful. So, whoops.
And now your mom brags about you every chance she gets.
Yes, she does. She gets very excited about it.
And your brother Mina, who's the pharmacist, is no longer the pride of the family.
Actually, Mina's my cousin. And Bola is the pharmacist. You were close.
I was right there.
You aimed wide and you hit.
3 arrows all at once.
Oh, done and done. So well done. Oh my goodness. To all of the Minas out there in my life, I love you all equally.
Now your cousin's gonna turn
the Faddies, you could do better.
The Faddies?
The Faddies, you could do better.
I have a cousin Faddy, so yeah.
Yeah. Right? There's something about the Faddies. You could step up their game a bit. Why not become a surgeon, Faddy? You could do so much better. Cosmetology. No, it's not good. Who are you? Noor? Close.
Oh man, it feels like I've known you 20 years, man.
That's just our culture. Honestly, that's my favorite part about our culture and that Middle Eastern thing. You can just meet the connection is always so harsh and loud and energetic. It's one of my favorite parts about being Egyptian. It's just like it doesn't even matter what religious denomination, what country, as long as you're in that lovely little strip, it's family, and there's just so much love. So I love being a part of that.
All right, so I'm gonna leave you with this. Catholic Easter, Western Easter is coming up quick. Ours is coming up May 5th because we're still on the old calendar.
Yes,
so we get the discount on all the candy.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Same thing with Christmas. We just like end up in the lighter rain, and it's like we got 2 sets of gifts. Let's go.
For the people that don't know, the Orthodox churches that are on the old calendar celebrate on January 7th. And for the people that also don't know, when it comes to Easter, known as Pascha, which is Greek from the Hebrew Pesach, which is Passover, we have to wait not only because the lunar leap year is 1 month, not 1 day. We have to wait for Passover and the vernal equinox to pass in order to celebrate Easter. So when you're on the lunar calendar, you get an extra month to the leap year, not an extra day. That's why this year it's 40 years apart between Western Easter and Eastern Easter. So what would you...
I actually didn't know. I knew about the Gregorian calendar, but I didn't realize the month difference in the leap year.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's the cycle of the moon. So in the leap year, you add an extra month.
Oh, that explains. I was like, where is it? Where'd you go? You're supposed to be a week away. What happened? But man, that was... Now I'm very excited for this upcoming Easter, for the Pascha week, because now I know something new. That's what I mean. That's what I love about this show. I just learn more new specifics, historical specifics about the culture and the faith that I'm in.
Well, so what would you like to tell our friends that are celebrating on the Western calendar, on the Julian calendar, or I'm sorry, on the Gregorian calendar, on March 30th, and then on the Julian calendar, May 5th?
Yes. Well, happy Easter. I hope you all have a very lovely, blessed Easter, and for my people, for our lovely community, happy Pascha week. Be gentle with me on Good Friday. Just think very forgiving thoughts. What would Jesus do? And I also hope you have a blessed Easter, and a Christos Anisti.
Lithosa Nesti when we get there. Habibi, hopefully I get to see you in person soon. And, we'll argue over who gets to pay the bill.
Oh, it'll be me. Come on, I have the show. I've got silver to spare. Just let me take care of it. We can't let it go to waste. I'll be gone by next season. Come on, just let's go.
Luke, where can we find you on social media if we want to connect with you?
You could find me on Instagram at dim-witted Dimyan, or you could just look you could put in the search bar my name, Luke Dimyan. It's not one of the fan pages. It's me in a little robe from high school. It's one of my first leads. You could find me on there, or actually, I think that's all I've got. I realized I'm on Twitter and I'm on Facebook, I guess, but I think the main place that I focus on is Instagram. So find me there, and if you can find me anywhere else, then good luck.
Luke Dimyan, thank you so much for your time. The Chosen is having its theatrical run right now and will be coming to the Chosen app in the near future. Congratulations on all your success, and it's been a great pleasure chatting with you today.
Thank you. Though all the pleasure was mine. Thank you so much.